The first thing that you ought to underline is that the 51% is an aspirational target. It's aspirational, and you need to underline that. Normally in law, you have a law which is directory and a law which is aspirational. Those who have studied political science, law, human rights, you'll know that you have the human rights, which are socio-economic rights, and the political rights. On the political rights, the law will be prescriptive. You shall not do such and such. On the economic rights, it will be, you shall endeavor to provide housing for all. So that's the distinction. In terms of the Indigenization Act, it is an aspirational law falling more in the category of socio-economic rights. And it is a directive to the government to aspire, to endeavor to ensure that, it says actually those are the words of the Act, to ensure that a 51% equity in public and other business is held by indigenous Zimbabweans. That's the aspiration. Obviously, it being an aspiration, as the minister says, you can't achieve it today, tomorrow. It is a long-term goal, a long-term aspiration. Which is why we have said that even though the law speaks of equity, in practice we have said we shall determine your 51% not just by reference to equity, but by reference to other empowerment credits. You might not wish to dispose of your 51% equity, you might want to dispose of a lesser share and say, however, to make up for that, we will build schools, clinics, roads, we will support children with scholarships. All of those will be accredited to your empowerment quota, so that you need not necessarily therefore surrender or sell or dispose of 51% equity in your company. And furthermore, we recognize that there are sectors whereby the very nature of our economy, Zimbabweans will not be able to raise the capital that is required, particularly in large infrastructure projects, power generation, for instance, railways and so forth and so on. And as the government have said, the law allows us to exempt certain areas from some of these indigenization requirements. And therefore, if you wanted to invest in power generation, you will most likely be exempt from some of these requirements, or if altogether not exempt, you will be given a lesser target to achieve.
It's not an expropriation decision, and it's flexible. It can be achieved, it cannot be achieved. I talked about the ESA group. They've acquired 53%. I told you that other companies are even investing 100% because they are not takers because of the shortage of capital. That's the flexibility I'm talking about. I talked about the sectoral committees, sector by sector. They are working on the various thresholds of indigenization and various time frames of indigenization. So the law is flexible in that regard. Then the question of knowledge economy, well, development is truncated. Where we are coming from as a country, we are still building ourselves from a resource-driven economy, depending on raw materials, exportation of raw materials, and we are moving towards value addition, product beneficiation, and of course, finally, if we can make a breakthrough at this stage of product beneficiation and value addition, I'm sure we can then start entering the knowledge economy zone. But already with our ICT, the programs, the backbone that we are laying in ICT, the undersea cable, and so on, I think we are progressively inching towards the knowledge economy. And also our renewable energy policy. You know, we are trying to go green, to adopt smarter, clean investments, as well as clean technology. So, in a way, by developing country standards, yes, we are slowly inching towards the knowledge economy, but basically, we are still grappling with the most primary stage of, seventh stage of value addition and product beneficiation. Okay, we cannot say we are there quite, but I talk about 3G and so on. So, yeah, we are doing well in that regard.
And the sectorial committees that the minister is talking about, we've also said we need to be practical and realistic. Let each sector decide the threshold that will be applicable for now. So the sectorial committees in mining, in manufacturing, in tourism will decide, and those sectorial committees have the business people who work in those areas. So the representative of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce, the Zimbabwe Business Council, etc., sit in the manufacturing sector. They will discuss and then say as to whether the threshold in manufacturing should be 30%, 15%, or whatever other percentage. And that will allow us, at least the players in that sector, to determine, having regard to our historical position as a country, what is realistic, what is achievable, what is business friendly at this particular moment in our history as a country. So,
proud to be. We are a peaceful country. We are a peaceful country. We are endowed with rich natural resources. And we are a beautiful country with highly skilled and educated people. I think that is what Zimbabwe is known for all over the world.
There is consensus in government that across all political parties that because our minerals are a finite resource, and that sooner or later they will run out. And it is best therefore that the government on behalf of the people should, generally speaking, have a 50% stake, not 51%, 50% stake. So you'll find that in terms of the new, I'm not talking of the old investment, I'm talking of the new investment going forward. If you are establishing a new platinum mine, you want to operate in the gold sector, you want to operate in diamonds. The most likely scenario now as we craft the new mining law is that there will be a minimum requirement that you go into partnership where the government will hold a 50% stake and the investor another 50% stake. The government can hold that stake directly, or it can do so through any of the state companies, entities, the Zimbabwe Mining Development Corporation that Roy referred to earlier. It could be the IDC, Industrial Development Corporation of Zimbabwe. So in mining, you'll find that the current thinking in government is that at least for new investment, we will have to start on the premise of a 50-50 partnership with government.